Welcome to Terp Talk. This is Dawn Flanagan with Global Interpreting Services in Michigan. And today I have with us Dano Milunovich, who is the COO and Executive Vice President of Global Interpreting Services. Today we're going to talk about translation and some terms that get confused in the translating and interpreting worlds. So welcome, Dano.
Thank you.
So I want to first say or talk about what is the difference between the words translating and interpreting, because people often use them interchangeably, but they're not really supposed to be used interchangeably.
And that's a great question. And we get that on a daily basis. Interpretation deals with speaking and the spoken word. Interpreters work vocally and verbally. Translation deals with the written word, documents, things of that nature.
I would like to add one caveat, since I'm a sign language interpreter, that interpreting can also be sign language, and translation of interpreting is sign language interpreting is when you put it on video. So that's the difference in the sign language world. When do you think it's important to use translation services as an individual? What would an individual like you or me just walking on the street, what would we need translation services for?
Well, I think in many cases we get individual translations. It would be documents like immigration papers, possibly driver's licenses from other countries. It could be legal documents. It could be wills. It could even be medical records, things like that. We see those types of things from individuals on a daily basis.
And if I were a teacher in a school or an administrator in a school, what might I need translation services for?
Well, you'd certainly need them for IEPs. If that's at play, IEPs are very important. And it's essentially very, very important that people understand what's being said and what's being worked with. So the other important thing with education would be schools prefer to have the parents involved with everything the student does. And it's important that the team environment be maintained. Many times parents do not speak English and are remiss to participate with the student. Schools have learned that by using tools that we offer, translation and interpreting, it allows the parents to become part of the team, involves them in their student's life, and therefore allows the student to have a more captivating experience as a student.
Right. I would think that, the student handbook translated would help parents understand the rules of the school, and having behavior plans that are translated when they're sending like a progress note home, that would probably be really helpful as well.
Absolutely. And we've actually, as you know, we've actually had instances where students were telling their parents they were doing very well in school, only to find out that the student was really not doing very well, and the teacher can communicate that. So through the tools that we offer, it allows the teachers to work closely with the parents and understand when a student is doing well or not doing well, and therefore they can address that a lot earlier in the student's year.
Now, what if a parent wants to call a school? Do we have a tool that would help a parent contact the school for any reason?
I'm glad you asked me that. Global has something that's very unique in an industry first. We have what we call direct lines. These direct lines are offered to school districts. For instance, let's say the school district has 10 languages that they work with quite frequently. We give them the ability to be able to pick up a telephone and have the interpreter for that specific language immediately on that phone call without having to go through any other steps. Schools love this because administrators are busy and they don't have time off to do a lot of the things that are required to get the communication thing going for the student. This allows them to do it quickly, concisely, and provide something that no one else in the industry has except Global.
Well, I know as a parent, I would enjoy having that ease of access to communication with the school district, especially for calling in or, something has happened with my student that I want the school to be aware of. It's nice to have that ability to contact them. Now, how would I use translations in a medical setting if I was a doctor or an office manager?
Oftentimes, patients are coming into the United States from other countries the doctor may need to see medical records where you would need to contact another country and ask for that patient's records. Well, when those records come over, let's just say we were dealing with Italy, for instance, the records would come over for a patient in Italian, and the doctor may or may not be able to decipher those records. He would give them to a company like us, Global, and we would make sure those documents are translated accurately so the doctor could understand the patient's medical history and therefore be able to administer treatment if necessary.
Well, when you're talking about that treatment, do you think it's a good idea to have treatment plans translated? Have you ever seen anyone have improvement in treatment when they translate their treatment plans?
Oh, I think that's very important, and we've seen instances where we've taken large orthopedic programs, for instance, for hospital systems, where they were asking patients to do exercises and things like that after they had very serious orthopedic surgeries, and the patients didn't necessarily understand what they were being asked to do. Well, when we take that document or PowerPoint, whatever they're doing, and we address that to the language that the patient speaks, we find that the response, first of all, is overwhelmingly high, and then the patient does extremely well because they now understand what the doctor really wants done. And we've done that for some major hospital systems.
If I was a judge or an attorney, what may I want the translation services for?
Okay, so in the law setting, translations are very important with legal documents of any nature. For instance, they may want to see if a person came from another country, they may want to see if they had any type of criminal activity. They may want to understand the patient's birth records. Are the birth records that they're being told accurate? Does another country disagree with that? Is there a history of mental health issues? Anything like that that may determine if a person is legitimately telling the attorney or the judge the truth. So, we lend a steady hand in helping them to obtain the things that they need. And of course, in the legal setting, as in any setting, you want to be beyond reproach. So the other part of a translation that's very important is that it's translated correctly. Global, although AI is a tool that lots of companies use, including us, we realize that we need to have proofreaders in place. So we put that extra step into everything that we translate to make sure that our clients are beyond reproach.
And that would probably be helpful in the police setting too, if they're, interrogating someone, or if they're arresting someone. Maybe could they do the Miranda rights?
Police officers would use interpreters and translation for Miranda rights. That's very important that from a legal aspect that the Miranda is properly executed so that a case, if there is a case, will not be thrown out of court due to Miranda violation. So the other place where it comes to mind with police work, oftentimes we've been asked to interpret or translate telephone calls that have gone between inmates and family members to understand the nature of those calls. We've been asked to validate conversations that go on between the inmate and attorneys. The police always want the information to be as accurate as possible so that they can make the best possible determination of really where they're at with these inmates or people that have been arrested for something.
Now, Global Interpreting Services has a special tool on their website. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Global has a very, very unique tool that allows an individual to go to our website. It's a translation tool. You basically go into the tool. You indicate to the tool what type of translation you have to do, a document. You download the file. The tool will immediately look at the file and will quote you a price. It will quote you a price based on what type of translation you need. Do you need certification to go along with that translation? It'll provide that, and you can pay for that with a major credit card, and the translation will be delivered to your email. Our clients are finding that extremely helpful. They never have to speak with a human. They can do it all on their own. It's very easy to use, and something that we've wanted to do for years, and have finally come up with a way to do it. So we're very pleased and proud of that tool.
Now, does that tool use AI?
It does use AI. It will use AI in the first phase of the tool. But again, we have proofreaders in place to validate that the AI is accurate. And that's something that we know is very important in the translation industry.
So even though there's a cost associated with doing the translation, it's better than using ChatGPT or Google Translate, because we're going to have a set of eyes looking at it, correct?
Yes, people are very, very inundated with ChatGPT and those types of tools. In reality, the accuracy is questionable at best, and we just will not do that with a translation. It's important to us that the product we deliver is beyond reproach, is as accurate as we can make it, and we pride ourselves on being a company that won't take a back seat on anything like that. Many companies do translation work. Very few do it correctly. We're one of the few that does it correctly.
Now, what if I wanted an entire book translated? Can you do that?
We can. In that case, we probably wouldn't use the website tool. We have a system in our office where we would take the book, we could quote the book, and we can absolutely do an entire book, regardless of the amount of pages.
So what is the benefit of using AI in the first phase if it's not, completely accurate?
Well, AI does have a place in the industry. AI is a good tool for round one. In other words, we would take a document, we would run it through AI. AI is going to have an accuracy of probably 50 to 60%. And then we would take the document, proofread it, but it would take a lot of the time that's initially done to get a document to the first phase by using AI. Something that we might take a day to do, AI would do in minutes. So by the time we get it in the second phase, the time is reduced. Also, we can reduce the cost and pass that savings on to the consumer. So we're very pleased about that.
So it's more like a tool, you would say, for the translator to use in their translation process?
AI is exactly that. It's a tool, but it does not deliver a finished product in our eyes. It may get there at one point in the future, but it's not there now. And until we feel it is, we will not allow a document to go to the consumer without doing a proofreading.
Now, what is certified translation? Do I have to always get a certified translation?
You do not. Certified translations are required for specific documents, wills, things like that, where you have to have possibly, it has to be either certified or notarized. Certified is basically saying the translator is attesting to the accuracy of the document, and they're putting their name on it and their seal. Some countries require that. Some organizations require that. The Secretary of State requires that, versus a notary. Simple notaries are needed for documents that are not quite as important. And when that happens, we have the ability to do that.
Great. Well, thank you so much for explaining all of that information for everyone. Thank you again for watching Terp Talk. Keep coming back, subscribe, like, and comment questions, and we'd be happy to answer them. And we will see you next time on Terp Talk.